In 2017, Netflix's CEO on an earnings call said what might be the most revealing thing anybody has ever said about a tech platform. Netflix's main competition is sleep. It's not other streaming services. It's not regular TV or cable or the internet. What he meant was the thing people would be doing other than watching Netflix usually is going to bed. And so what the company has to do is be better, more interesting, more accessible than going to sleep. Content is now unbounded by any set schedule, and so it can happen at any time during your day. And the biggest pool of unstructured time you have is while you're in bed and supposed to be asleep. And if you think about how these platforms managed to become so dominant, there's sort of three reasons in my book. The first is that they created addictive interfaces, interesting algorithms, competitive products. Everybody sort of knows this on the surface. The second is that they disrupted and rearranged our traditional ways of organizing our days in terms of time and schedule, and our spaces in terms of where we went, where we spent time, who we spent time with. And they reoriented that around their own kind of system. So for example, Netflix, now you don't sleep, you watch Netflix. Amazon, in the same way Netflix's competition is sleep, the competition of Amazon is going out in public because you used to have to go to a store. Google's real competition is people just knowing things and not having to research them. Facebook's real competition is people having actual real life friends that they're in touch with. A dating app's real competition is people being in relationships. A job-seeking platform's real competition is people being gainfully and steadily employed. Because if people aren't forced to participate in kind of the artificial marketplaces that these companies have captured, then that means there is value being generated, which they cannot collect data on, which they cannot leverage to their advantage, which they cannot charge rent on. One of the first steps to resisting it all is to adequately name it and see it not as some, big policy question or a question of businesses and capitalism or whatever, but as something very intimate and personal. As someone who's Gen Z, I grew up, and maybe you grew up, with the phone as a middleman between you and every new experience. The phone really ushered us into the adult world and grew up at the same pace as we did. It became more powerful, complex, problematic, and capable at the same rate as we ourselves and our friends did. Google Maps was in the car giving directions as you learned how to drive. Zuck sat shotgun as you whiled away time on Instagram waiting for your talking phase crush to reply, knowing that as soon as the notification popped up, you'd read it. But since the user interface of Apple's iPhone allowed you to turn on read receipts, you'd have plenty of time to craft a reply that wouldn't seem chalant. All of our lives and all of our new experiences, adolescence coming into adulthood, happened alongside and in tandem with these platforms. The platforms slid in between you and every person or thing in the world, making access smoother, cheaper, and more immediate, no matter what the thing was. They never want to leave that place, sitting there between you and the world, because it is an extremely powerful place to be in. And the best way to guarantee they stay there is to starve the world into a shape small enough for them to swallow and to prevent you from being the fullest possible self you can be. And they're destroying value because it's their only viable strategy now. You are in control of your experience, you are in control of yourself, and if it were a fair, competitive marketplace, they wouldn't be winning. So instead what they're doing is they're trying to sabotage culture itself. If 15 out of the 20 reels that you find are AI slop, that's 15 out of 20 chances you're missing to meet someone, learn something new, get sparked by a new idea, laugh at some witty, observant joke. That's also 15 chances that another human being, whether it's your friend, whether it's a creator, whether it is an advertiser, even, that they're missing to connect with you. And so by draining the main cultural space of our society, which is the social media scroll, of its relevance and of its value, what they're doing is ensuring their own dominance. And so I think what we have to do actually isn't totally log off the platforms, it is to make them our own, because in many ways they already are. And what the AI slop is it's an attack on the infrastructure, on the communities, on the networks that people have built. And so I'd say see your behavior here not as a consumer, but as a producer. Even if you aren't a content creator, what you can be is an admin, a mod, a commenter, a subscriber, a follower, somebody who shares stuff with your friends, introduces them to new things. Look at yourself as a producer because that's what they see you as. They see you as a producer that they can hold captive. And I fully understand the irony of this, but I've written more about this on my Substack, which is another social media platform that you can go check out. It's a longer piece, and I've been in conversation with a few other people like Adam Alexic, Etymology Nerd, and other content creators and scholars, and there's a lot going on in this space. There's a lot to say, and I've been really encouraged that a lot of people resonate and agree, because this isn't just what I think is my opinion, it's also the experience that I've had online throughout my life.